Good morning and welcome to episode 35 of Pistol's Progress. I'm Heather Smith. I'm the creator of barrelracingtips.com, and lately I've been coming to you live here on Facebook every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 8:30 Central as I bring you for a ride behind the scenes with my barrel horse gelding Pistol as I get him prepared and in shape and ready for competition. So our first race back is going to be September 1st, so that is just right around the corner. And Pistol's feeling amazing. He's really passing all the tests that I would have for him. And today we just had an awesome workout, like a pretty intense workout. And it was really guided by some of the feedback that I got over the weekend, which I'll tell you a little bit about. But to start with, I would love to hear how your weekend went. So we shared a little bit, talked a little bit last Friday about what our intentions were for the weekend with our horses. So as accountability partners, it would be awesome for you to report in and tell me about a win over the weekend. And again, keep in mind that even learning something is a win. So I would love to hear all about it in the comments. So right now, Pistol just had a pretty intense workout, and I essentially just use the time. I've been using the timer on my phone when I don't have it set up for filming, so I can hear it. But I basically just follow what I call my 4-mile basic workout. And I do, oh, you gotta see this. I do a 10-minute, Pistol, he's so silly, look at him. Oh my gosh, he just cracks me up. So anyway, I basically have been just following like my 4-mile basic, and essentially what that means is I do a warm-up at a walk for 10 minutes, and then I do his stretches. If I'm at home and I can do his therapy on the Equivibe, immediately, I swear. So he found something that smells really interesting, so he's doing that little Fleming response. It is also honestly kind of a trained trick. He does it for treats too, so he's really good at it. Anyway, I keep losing my train of thought because he's so hilarious. Oh my gosh. I'll get back on topic here, I swear I will. But I thought maybe you could use a laugh this morning too. So so I basically follow what I call my 4-mile basic, and that results in like 3 or 4 minutes at a trot each direction, and then 3 or 4 minutes at a lope each direction, and then I do a really good cool down. And the cool down consists of like usually at least 10 minutes of walking, and we can actually limit and prevent a lot of soreness in our horses just by giving them a really extended and really long good workout. And so it's one of the reasons I really have been wanting to get going earlier in the morning, so I can get him his full cool down completed before I tune in live with you. And because he had an intense workout this morning, I actually just made sure everything was safe. I closed all the gates here and I just turned him loose, and he already had a roll, but I thought if he wants to keep moving around, I don't really need him to stand still here with me. But if he could go move around, maybe. You want to go walk around a little bit, Pistol? Or is that... He found something he's just really fascinated with, so... Anyway, but I'm giving him the opportunity to walk around and just explore his surroundings, go roll a second time if he wants to, but that extended cool down period just does wonders for our horses as far as preventing muscle soreness. So today was kind of an intense workout, and I really noticed some things this weekend over on Saturday when I took him to a barrel race and did some exhibitions. I turned things up a little bit, and we did like a lope through. We did actually kind of 2 lope throughs essentially. And one thing, it was like I was already kind of aware of his need to get a little more engaged in the turns, and I'm putting clues together more and more all the time about one of the big contributors. Hey, handsome, you want to come say hi? Come on. Hi. He's all dirty. He looks kind of like a mouse. Come on. So you can see his nose, I'm sure. So he really has needed more like engagement in the turns. And what I've been putting together over time, I've even been studying some videos like from like many years ago, and putting together some clues about like what his what his normal is, and like what my expectations should be for improvement and so forth, and like what can I expect, and like trying to put together like what action steps I need to take to help him go to a higher level. And a lot of it, to be honest, really falls back to supporting his soundness. And I think that that is something that it's really easy for us as barrel racers to kind of be like hypochondriacs and be just like searching for something wrong all the time. But on the other hand, which I don't think that that's really the way to go about it, but at the same time, I think we need to accept and be aware that our horses, like, we're probably doing a lot of the right things and supporting them in a lot of the right ways. We just need to do more of what we're already doing, in a sense. And so anyway, I've been, and what it really comes down to a lot of times are some of the reasons, to be totally honest, why a lot of us hesitate to like support our horses at a higher level is, honestly, there's a lot of expense involved in it. And so the solution to that then, if that's an obstacle, is to go back and like try to do whatever we can to fix that limitation so our horses can be supported at the level they need to be with their care, you know, and their joint support and everything, so that they can perform at the highest levels. Like, I think that we kind of underestimate sometimes what they really need to be at their best. And we kind of shortchange them a little bit, and then we try to fix soundness issues with training, which is really kind of a dead-end street. So I am just now finally feeling like I can start doing some of the more intense workouts, because he's finally starting to feel like he's able to, like physically he's ready for it. And up until this time, he just felt so kind of restricted and awkward, like even loping a small circle was just kind of hard for him. And I thought, like, if this is hard and this is awkward, I'm not in a position, it is not a good idea to demand more and expect more. So I gave him the choice to wander around and explore, and he just wants to hang out here with me, which I consider a compliment. Ah, Pistol. So you should probably get rewarded for it, because I do want to be his icon of safety. You want a treat? So anyway, what I did today is, or what I noticed over the weekend that guided me in his workout today, is that when I watched us in the little video Craig took of that exhibition, I've been noticing that I feel the disengagement happen like on the back side when he like closes the turns, where he kind of like loses his hind end a little bit at that point. But if you really study horsemanship, then you know that like we have to pay really close attention to what happens before what happens. And usually whatever we're feeling that doesn't seem quite right, there was something before that that actually occurred that caused that feeling to be there at that point. So we always really have to be backtracking and putting our detective hat on and looking at, you know, like our departure in the alley has everything to do with how our horse is set up to turn the first barrel. I've been really paying close attention and making some corrections to how he is using his body on the way to the first barrel, for example. And so anyway, what I learned in watching that video is that he actually, his hind end is kind of getting floating out a little bit at the beginning, like right at the beginning of the turn, where you come in fairly straight and then you start the turn, and his hind end was just kicking out a little bit at this point, and then it would kind of kick out a little bit at this point. And I was only feeling it up to this point until I saw it on video, like as he closed the turn, not necessarily, I wasn't really feeling it here. So what I did today is that I did an exercise where, like, if this is the barrel, I'm gonna come in and then I'm gonna ask him to do like a spin on his hindquarters right at that point where he tends to kind of lose his hind end, and then I'll do another one right here, and then we're squared up to leave. And so this is an exercise. I think I maybe even included a version of it in both the first 51 and the next 50. So I've shared these exercises in both my exercises books, which you can find all of them under the books link at barrelracingtips.com. And so he was actually kind of a little bit luggy when I asked him to do like kind of a dynamic spin, which I kind of expected, because I haven't exactly been like that really demanding. but it's kind of like we have to realize that like our horses need to be like absolutely electric, and we need them to be like a hovercraft. And so so I really amped up my expectations, and he definitely will meet me. He will always do what I ask, but I have to ask for it. And if I like just inadvertently lower my expectations, he will tend to kind of lower his too, and just basically meet me and ask, you know, respond and do whatever I ask of him. But if I get tired or a little bit sloppy or a little bit lazy and not as consistent in what I ask, man, I can see it in him. So the other exercise I did is one that I really like, where you do like a circle around the barrel, you go to the fence, you do a roll back, and then you go back to the barrel, and then you do one circle with that really engaged, collected movement that they just had to do. You kind of take that posture with you from the rollback and take it around the barrel, and then you go back to the fence on the other side, stop, roll back, and then go around the barrel. And so all of this is like really intense. For a really well-conditioned young horse, it might not be like that overwhelming to their body, but I know it's a stretch for him. And so today when I get home, I'm actually going to get in the habit now. His workouts haven't been that intense, but we're kind of climbing up there. I'm going to start packing my ice boots with me so I can ice him on the way home. I'm actually here at the covered arena. Our arena is dry now after the rain, but we had to work it again in preparation for a big rock removal project, and it's too deep. It's actually, I would set him up to hurt himself, hyperextend, or get really sore if I actually rode him at home, because the ground is just too soft and deep. So again, I'm having to haul to the covered arena. But today, because his workout was so demanding, instead of riding him in his cool down, I just immediately got off, because packing a rider around really does add more stress to their body essentially. So that's something I did to kind of lighten his load. But what I'm gonna do to give him a little extra TLC today is that I'm gonna swing by the gas station and get a couple bags of ice, and I'm gonna do an ice water like spa, saltwater spa in the rubber buckets. I actually have some padding on the bottom of the rubber buckets that I cut out and put in there, and then I dropped the microcurrent leads in there for a microcurrent saltwater spa soap. So he's gonna get that on his front legs when we get home, and then I'll probably put some mud on him, some poultice too. So but he felt really good. It was a little bit luggy at first, but I did those 2 exercises around the barrels just during. I didn't add it after the conditioning, I just did it kind of as I went, as part of the conditioning, as I followed that those minutes that I do for like the trotting and the loping and so forth. So just catching up on comments here. Hey Brandy, hey Bonnie, hey Stacy, hi Sharon, hi Sherry, hi Katie. Love seeing all your waves. Would love to hear how your weekend went with your horses, for those of you watching. So I'm really excited for what's to come. He's feeling amazing, and he's feeling well enough now that I can kind of like turn up things and really ask him for more, and like make some like really like corrections to how he's using himself. Up to this point, I've just been asking him to just move properly in just basic walking, trotting, a little bit of loping around the barrels and stuff. And now I'm able to put it all together in a way that's a little bit more dynamic and intense. And it's definitely an intensity level that is going to soak in for him a little bit more, because it more closely simulates the speed and the dynamic activity that is actually happening in a real run, if that makes sense. So, and like I said, up to this point, he hasn't really been ready for it yet as far as his conditioning and how he's been feeling soundness wise and everything. And now that we finally have those green lights, it's all coming together. And I think we're doing really okay timing wise. Next, I'm not going to repeat a workout just like this with those rollbacks and spins and stuff. And so next time on Wednesday, I'm going to do another special exercise that involves like really stretching our horses out and freeing them up, and then doing some collection work and then kind of going flip-flopping back and forth between the two. So that is another exercise. That one is actually included in the next 50 barrel racing exercises, which you can get at 50barrelracingexercises.com. So, but I'm really happy with where we're at. We've got a lot to cover and in the next couple weeks, but I'm really looking forward to competing on him again, and everything's going really well. So just catching up on comments. Yeah, Sharon, I posted a picture of it on the saltwater spa on my stories last week, but I'll post another picture of it. And let's see. That's great to hear, Katie. Awesome. So yeah, one of the things I really like, it's actually on my list to get some of those Jack's spa therapy like turbulator boots that go up really high over the knee, and they have like a machine that pumps, you know, aerates the water. So because these buckets basically just get his fetlocks primarily. So that one of those sets of those boots, those really tall ones, are on my list. But so far, having like black rubber buckets with no handle, so they're completely safe. He stands in them really well. But that way, like if they were to move or tip them over, it's not like a regular 5-gallon plastic bucket where they could potentially break them and cut themselves or something. So they're really safe in that sense. And then I thought he stands on rubber mats that have padding under them on the concrete in the barn, but then I took some of that padding and cut out a circle to put on the bottom of those buckets, because even standing on concrete that even has the rubber padding and the foam underneath it is still kind of hard on their body. And I don't want to be doing all this hours of therapy and then kind of undoing it at the same time while he's having to stand on that surface. So some of these things you don't really start putting together until you're a little bit more mature. But it's definitely knowing like how much is too much with your horse and what kind of support they need and stuff. Really the way that I have figured all of this out is through trial and error, and by like doing too much or going over the boundary lines and then having to backtrack and kind of fix things up again. And then just by really intimately getting to know your horse. And but once you gain that sort of experience, you have a much better gauge. Like I was really tempted to ask for one more circle to get a better quality. It's just my personality to demand perfection and to like keep pushing for it. And I thought, no, this is an exercise for me to say, you know, Pistol, I know and I trust that we have time to put the finesse and the finishing touches on this, and I'm going to be pleased and happy with everything you offered me today. We ended on a really great circle one direction, and I wanted to get one more the other direction, and I thought, not today. I'm going to save his body and preserve and conserve it, and I know and believe and trust that we have time to put the finishing touches on it next time, and that my decision to stop when I did is actually a big part of what will enable him and enable us to be able to put those perfect finishing touches on things and still have him having the physical ability to completely offer me his best. So I mentioned, Danielle asked, softening in the turns, and I mentioned in the title about collection in the turns, and I explained earlier on in this live video about two of the specific exercises I did for collection in the turns. So Danielle, if that's what you're interested in, you'll want to just go back and watch from the beginning and to get caught up on that. So I described two awesome exercises I did for collection in the turns, not necessarily what I would consider softening, which would be a different topic. So this has been a blast as usual, and I will be coming back on Wednesday morning, touching base with you again here for Pistol's Progress. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you then.